Hello, everybody, and welcome to this latest ValuesJam deep dive conversation. And this month, surely it's going to be a joy because the topic is happiness in this month of International Happiness Day. So, Julie and Finbel, welcome. It's great to explore this topic with yourselves. And I've got a question to kick us off because happiness is obviously a really important destination for many people. You know, we hear people saying that they want to be happy and they're in pursuit of happiness and all the rest of it. But sometimes I feel that people talk about happiness in that big context and kind of difficult to get to grips with. What is it? And so my question to you is, what are the small practices and actions that help to make us happy, us on the call?
You wanting responses.
Well, that would be good for people listening.
What are the simple actions? Can you say
And practices.
um, intentional connection with others?
Hmm.
Um, just other thing, dancing.
Yeah.
I find that you really can't be in a bad mood when you're dancing.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Um, and the other thing is just, I think for myself, it's when I provide myself the space and time without judgment to be what in whatever it is that I'm doing. Because I think that often the conflict is my own personal chatter that's saying you're not doing enough, it's not enough, blah blah blah, and that brings down sort of my happiness quota. And that when I give myself more space and time, I feel a larger level of contentment, which for me, contentment and happiness are actually is what I'm really shooting for. I'm not looking for like ecstatic happiness. I like contentment would work.
Thanks for kicking off, Julie. And Finbel, either anything new to add to that, or maybe a reaction to some of what Julie's mentioned?
I really resonated with what Julie said about allowing herself, the grace to take that moment and take that time for herself. I think that is supremely important. On on my end, I really try to simplify it, and I've recently come into contact with somebody who kind of put out this question into the universe, and I think it was answering something that I was asking. And they just basically said, "Why do we, when is it that we stop making time for, for playtime? When we were a child, that was something that came so easy to us, and we stopped making time because other things took priority for us. And so for me now, it is really consciously getting back in touch with um, what that those elements of play are, how I can incorporate that, how I could consciously incorporate that um, into my life, and then a little bit more on the borrowing off of a more cliche saying, but the funny thing with cliche sayings is that we hear them so often they lose their potency to us. So hearing
Yeah.
something that when people say about the small things, enjoying the small things, when we're not, just like what Julie said, looking for this big ecstatic reward, when we see just little joys in the smallest things, like watching our cat bounce up in the air. My cats do that, and not ignore it and say, "Wow, that was funny," or "It's pure joy," or however it makes me feel. Um, Finding those little punctuations of joy throughout the day is amazingly sustaining, especially now. So,
Yeah. Well, and what both of you have mentioned have just fired off a number of different things in my head. So I won't share too many of them because I'd be going on. But if I just share a few, the word that came to me when Julie was talking about providing herself with the space and the time was presence. And last week, when I was in Southwest Florida, I met a lady who was talking about this because she said that she had done a lot of work over the last 18 months, moving herself from perfection to presence. And one of the stories that I remember was that she said fairly recently she was out for a run. She goes for a run early in the morning and she noticed a pink flamingo. And so at first, she carried on with her run past it. And then she said to herself, that was really beautiful. You need to stop and go back, take a photo. And, probably that conversation of, but you're on your run, you need to finish your run. No, I'm just going to go back and have a look. And that's what she did. So that was good. And then I don't know whether you know Shell Point. It's a senior living residence in Fort Myers in Florida. So a pretty fancy senior living residence who went to see somebody there and his place just overlooks the water. It's beautiful. And when we were talking, and this is to Finbel's point about the small things that happen, there was a pelican out there and it was hovering and then it dived and it got its fish and it ate its fish. And we all saw it and we were like, oh, look at that. Did you see that? And it was just a tiny little thing, right? It didn't make us ecstatic, but I remember the feeling. It was a really happy feeling. So those things come into play as well. And then the final one, and this is to Finbel's comment about play. You reminded me, I went to see the Natural History Museum. I don't know if either of you know it. It's the famous museum in London where it's got a skeleton of a dinosaur. That's what it's known for, the big T-Rex. Um, and I took my grandson, who was then about 5, and there's a part that you come up to where there's like you're walking along, and then there's a little turn to the right, and then a turn to the left, right? So when you're at the beginning of what I've just described, you can't see where you're going because you're going to do this right and then left. And he said, Grandad, he calls me Grandad Alan. So he said, Grandad Alan, where are we going now? And I said, well, we don't know. And I said, come on, let's jam up against this wall, the wall straight ahead of us. And then what we're going to do is we're going to creep up slowly to the corner. And then we're going to look round the corner and see what's there. And it was such great fun. And of course, there was nothing special there at all. It was just the next bit of our journey. But we really enjoyed it, and then we went on. So it's this thing of I'm a great fan of play and being connected to your inner child and keeping a hold of that as long as you possibly can, and in as many moments as you can. So that's a great start with some of those small practices. And I guess the next question that comes to me is, well, why did more people not do what we've just described? Because it does seem pretty rare, actually. And Yaz is just arriving, which is fabulous. But you carry on. Why do you think that is?
perhaps allowing themselves, as an adult, allowing yourself to do that is not valued as much. It's not valued as something that's super important. So we set it aside. It's not. It probably is still frowned upon, as opposed to kind of motivating yourself to get ahead in other ways that are seemingly rewarding, or I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say here. Um, something that you could show for, something that you could
Yeah.
show for. So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. So let me try and help. If I kind of translate it into my world language, there's less certainty about what you're going to get back for what you do, um,
Exactly.
and other
Very.
things, if you allow them, can take priority.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
and Yaz, at this stage, welcome. Please say hello and tell us where you're calling from. I think we've got a bit of an American-dominated session today. Oh, we can't hear you. No, you're going to get that fixed. Let me just tell you. I'll just tell you where we're at. We started off with what are the small practices and actions that help to make you happy, and now we're talking about, well, why is it that people don't seem to do that very much? And so Finbel just started off with, because one, maybe it's harder to understand what your return on effort is, and it's a bit unpredictable. And then other things maybe seem more pressing. And Julie, anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting question because I've been diving into it a little bit in my own work. And I find, well, I used to believe that I had so many responsibilities and there was all of these responsibilities and I had to do that. And it was something about the external pressures of outside. And the more work I've done recently, what I'm discovering is that it really is an inside job, that we develop. It is in certainly, I would imagine, is in response to our surroundings and culture and responsibilities. But I actually think it's largely in response to the stories we tell ourselves as we try to survive from childhood. When we start saying, "Oh, I can't play anymore," and we don't say that, but there's a message that we receive. And so then we have this inner dialogue and this inner belief system that's really about our own core beliefs. And it's really, for me, what I've been working on is really looking at and speaking to those core beliefs and having to unpack them and say, well, are they true? Is this even true? Is this even this fact that I have to do this before I do that? Or how I choose to prioritize what I choose to do, like the idea of stopping and going back and taking the picture of the of the flamingo. So I I think what really in the end is we block ourselves, and that we also, and I think that's where at times I've been frustrated when people are like, you just choose happiness, and I'm like, oh, come on, but in a way there is work we can do to have it be something that's actually accessible to us. And I don't know if would go as far as to say it's a choice, but I think it's work that we can do to have a more clear access and understanding, but also honoring the fact that when you're not happy, it's okay too.
Yeah, and I'm loving that you're bringing up this choice thing. Are you go on, Yaz? Are you on
Oh no,
sound?
I
Yes,
was
you
just
are.
reading the chat. Huh?
You're on. Yeah, we can
Oh,
hear you now.
I didn't anymore. You can hear me now.
Yes.
Oh, maybe it's because I changed clothes. You like my shirt? It says support, protect, and believe Black women. So after I did that, and oh no, I had to double down, put on myself. God is still writing your story. Stop trying to steal a pen. And my pen over here stopped working. So I said, I gotta switch it up a little bit, huh?
Yeah,
Gotta get creative.
it's good to see you again. And
I
and,
know
Ju-
it's been quite some time.
and Julie, what you were saying there about choice, I don't know. I'm not an academic, so maybe people are gonna, be able to say that this isn't true. But I totally believe that you can choose, and it's through being aligned with your core values. And I find that if you live according to your values, then you will be happy. It's like, and the other connection is that's your choice rather than being driven by all of the external stuff that's going on. So the metaphor that I use is a boat on the ocean. So the people that are just react and respond to the external forces, they're the ones that are kind of in a boat, the waves are coming, and all you do is stay afloat, and you're at the mercy of the waves. That's it, full stop. The people that are aligned to their values, they're the ones that have a rudder, and they're the ones that have decided the direction that they're going to go in. The waves still come, and you might not be able to go there very easily, but you are going in that direction, and I think that's the difference. So I know for me, values that are important to me are excellence and kindness and creation and adaptability. And I know when I choose to do things that are associated with those things, I have a wild time. It's great. So yeah, what would you like to contribute to the conversation about happiness so far? I know you came in part way, but I hope you've been able to pick up kind of a bit of a thread. So have you got anything to throw in at this stage?
Yes, I do. I'm throwing some in the chat real quick, just dropping a little breadcrumb. But I am going to honor all opinions and speak from my personal experience. And I tend to want to lean towards agreeing with what Alan said. It depends on where you're at with where you're at, right? Happiness is something that you could cultivate for yourself based on your values. And I really truly believe that, because when I was doing things that were not aligned with my values, like things that I didn't really choose. I'm a sex trafficking, human trafficking survivor. I was on drugs. I was homeless, all the things, right? Those things didn't align with my values. And so even though I had money and I had things that I needed, I didn't feel happiness. Like I didn't feel joy. And it wasn't until I decided, I'm not gonna be your toy. I'm not a toy. I'm telling your story too. Okay, that's a new one. When I said I'm not gonna be a sex slave anymore, because I realized that the commercial sex industry really is not a place of empowerment, but a place of enslavement. It's very hard to get out. And being a super empath, a medium, a shaman, and a god, it's like kind of hard when you're trying to align with the value of something that you feel like you're so close to getting, but then someone does something else. And so my point with that saying is, I do believe that we all inherently have good values. We know what's right for us and we know what's wrong for us. But I also do now definitively say that people are operating on a singular consciousness and not on a unity consciousness, not on a Christ consciousness, a 3-3. 3 to 6 to 9 to 0 to 1, right? I don't think that people understand just how much of a ripple effect making one little decision could impact someone, almost like a butterfly effect. And so for
Sure.
me, when I finally decided, hey, I ain't gonna be your slave master, I ain't gonna do any of this, I'm going to just whatever. I lost everything, right? Homeless, still struggled with addiction until I didn't. And then I decided, hey, well, I can come up with different ways. What makes me happy is helping people. Like I'm a helper spirit. I'm here to help other people. So that usually means even if I don't have it, I'm gonna give it to you to help, because I understand how pay it forward works. I understand how energy works. And so what I'm contributing to the conversation is why I understand that everyone has their own responsibilities and everything. We all have responsibilities. Some of the people that are struggling the most, that get the most difficult battles, have some of the best spirits, because they know what it's like to struggle. And I'm gonna have to call it when I see it. The devil, I mean, the Donald, the devil is a liar. The Donald is a Lucifer. I think so. I proved it time and time again. How you gonna be? Oh, are you still in my pen again? Get out of here, sir. How are you going to be the president of the United States? First of all, America, shame on you. So you would rather put the thing back up there that you was going to impeach didn't have a black woman rule anything. Okay, that just goes to show Malcolm X is joining the chart.
No, listen up. You wait, Yaz. I need to interrupt because this is just too weird, right? Because
is it weird?
Well, wait. Values first off, I was explaining I've just come back from Southwest Florida on a trip, and I met the most amazing good people there. There are some. I described it as I found an oasis in Florida. And of course, politics came up in some conversations, but not too many. And Values Jam is definitely, not intended to be political in any way whatsoever. But it's funny that we've got three women from the US on this call, and we've kind of touched on the subject. And I want to quickly move it on to really respond to Yaz's point about how you can have lots and be unhappy. And I'm going to tell you a story now of when you can have very little and be happy. And there are two examples. One, I was on a call, this is quite some years ago. It was the son, and he must have been about 18. Oh, no, just about leaving school, so 17 maybe, of a colleague of mine in Sao Paulo. And we were talking about something, it must have been something connected with happiness. And he was telling me, that's right, he was telling me about this big high-rise building of luxury flats or apartments that had been built right next to a slum area in his location. And these flats were so fancy that each one had a balcony with a pool. Right, that's how fancy these apartments were. But he was telling me about how he knew some people that lived in the slum area, and he was saying, they have a good time. They play football together and they have fun together. They're always laughing and smiling, despite the fact people get shot dead regularly, right? And then he was, and I sometimes wonder about somebody like me who might be the sole child of somebody living in these fancy apartments, and I'm on my device all the time and I've got no friends, and what sort of life is that? So there's that one. And then if you want to see a really uplifting movie, look up The Power of Small. And this is a movie about a woman who had a lot of money and decided to give some of it away to 50 people that she knew. So she gave 50 people, some cases thousands of dollars, and some cases tens of thousands of dollars, and simply said to them, "Can you please be kind with my money?" And then these people started to tell her what had happened as a result of using her money in a kind way. And I'm going to tell you just one story. Imagine you see on the screen the face and upper body of a woman. She is homeless, and she has received a card and an envelope as a gift. And she's reading the card, and it's full of good wishes. And if you do watch it, it's amazing because this woman has so much positive energy, and she's so grateful that anybody's bothered to write her a card, right? So she's saying, "Oh, thank you so much, guys. I hope it's going to be better next year as well." And all of this. And then somebody says, "Hey, Wendy, aren't you going to open the envelope?" And she says, "Oh yeah," and opens the envelope. It's full of dollars. And then she says, "This is amazing to have this money because I'm in sheltered accommodation at the moment. And last night there was an elderly lady there who was freezing. And so now I've got some money. I can buy her a coat and some gloves."
Mm-hmm.
So here's somebody who had very little and yet was happy. So I'm Finbel, you've been silent listening, so it'd be good to hear your take on what's gone on in the last 5 minutes of the conversation.
Is almost over?
Oh, say that again?
I'm sorry, I said it's almost over.
No, not. I just wanted to hear from Finbel.
Okay.
Oh, I really did latch upon when you said about, the instance of receiving that little bit of money, automatically thinking of paying it forward to someone who needed it. And, even with very little, you could really tell that their internal cup was full. Their internal cup was full, and they wanted to positively overflow it to somebody else. So it didn't have anything to do with the trappings, what's material or what's monetary, because that was superfluous. I really love that. It was an important reminder, especially right now. I know in the beginning of the session, Alan, you were talking about, I was telling you about, little nudges from the universe, and, lo and behold, within just one like session, that did happen again. It was kind of like a little light bulb in my head. I'm like, whoa, that may be the situation currently. Not going to go into the detail of it, but that doesn't mean that my own well has to be depleted of that happiness, despite the hardship. There's always pockets of it in between. It's never it's never completely something linear. It's ups and downs. It's the peaks and the valleys of it.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Acknowledging that I may be in the low point right now. People may be in the low point right now, but you are going back up. It's the balance of it, the supreme balance of it, I guess.
Yeah, and let me share another story with you, and this is about somebody who lives in Utah, and last July she told me how she very nearly did not put the national flag up in her yard in the same way as she had done for the previous years of her life, because she was ashamed. And eventually she decided that she would put the flag up for what it could become again, rather than allow the craziness that is happening to be in control. She wanted to make her own choice, and chose to make that for something in the future rather than what she felt she was experiencing now. So Finn Bell, I think that's an example, right, of what you just described so well.
Yes, 100%. Absolutely.
Can I chime in real quick?
For sure.
You said the magic word. I heard it. You said she made the choice, right? We always have choices. Everybody got choices, right? And so when we start moving in choices where we believe in the collective freedom of all humanity, we start to choose things that shift the paradigm. So that lady deciding that she wanted to give away money was a very, very good thing to do, because money's energy. And that little bit of money that she gave away could really change somebody's life. And it got a little weird because it reminded me of when I was staying, when COVID happened, I was homeless at the shelter, right? Several different shelters. And I got my SSDI payment, $50,000. Gave it all away. I'm talking about you're at the shelter. Here's $1,000 in here. Here's $1,000 for you. But my mistake was I didn't make sure I was good first, because I felt like I want to help other people get out of the situation. So then I felt bad, right? And so this time when I get my next blessing coming, which I'm getting from the Backpage lawsuit or the Department of Justice, and it's gonna be hefty, okay? I'm going to choose to be AI, like an angel investor in people who are overlooked, people who just need a little bit of help. And so something as simple as giving someone $1 can literally make the difference of someone getting $1,000 for a house that they need, or funding coming through for an organization. Because how the hell are you going to shut down? That's neither neither there. But you know what I'm saying? It's all about reciprocating energy. So when you say choice, when you choose well and you choose to think about the collective and not just the things that you got going on, you tend to get more bountiful blessings, bigger blessings than what you even thought you were going to get. And then not only do you get the blessings, you feel better in your spirit, knowing that you made a decision that could help someone else. It's almost like putting other people first to put yourself first. It's very, very, I know the word alchemy.
Yeah, for sure. And the reason I was in Florida last week is that we have a kindness summit there in May. So May 14 to 17. It's a 2-day program. And actually, I had an exchange on LinkedIn with a guy maybe a week ago, just before I went, actually, it was. And I said to him, "Hey, are you going to come?" And he said, "No, I've decided not to support any US organizations while this situation is going on." And I said to him, "Well, actually, we believe that it's more important at this time to support American citizens with something like this than to, step away from them, because it's not the citizens that are doing this, right?" And when I got there, I told that story at a not-for-profit board meeting that's connected with this, and the reaction was amazing, because they were saying, "Oh my God, that's so good of you, to see through the surface level and not take the easy option." And we think that having a kindness summit in Florida is a big statement to make in your country, and we're pleased to do that. So if you're free, you guys, you can. I'll put the link in the chat if I get a chance. If not, I'll email it to you.
I feel like that's the perfect place for me to go. You said May 14th through 17th, right?
Yeah, so there's a welcome reception on the 14th. The main program days are the 15th, which is for business leaders, and the 16th for community. And it's this sounds like a bit of a sales pitch, which it is. and the vibe of the event is a bit different, because you've probably all been to conferences or whatever where just a parade of sages on the stage, and they download on you, and all of their messages blend into one in your head. You have no time to speak to the brilliant people either side of you. So all of our sessions are audience participatory, because in many cases the members of the audience are more qualified perhaps than the people that are running the sessions. And then we're building in time for people to build relationships with each other, so we're calling that kindversation time. And we're also having kindness in practice. So there's a senior living setting. The leaders are coming. They're going to bring an anonymized list of their residents with their hobbies and interests shown. And then the members of the audience are going to match with hobbies and interests, and they're going to handwrite them a letter to be taken back to the senior resident. So that I'm trying to give you there a flavor of the style. It's not like a typical conference. So yeah, if you guys are able to be there, it would be great. Now back to, I'm conscious that we've kind of deviated. So Julie, would you like to bring us back to happiness? With in ValuesJam, we invite people to make up their own question. And so perhaps you could think about what you're curious about. You mentioned that word right at the beginning of today, I remember. So a question beginning with why, who, what, where, when, how, about happiness for us.
Well, what's coming up straight off the bat for me, and it's a funny thing, and I think I even spoke to it, is I actually have in the past had a bit of a challenge with the term happy and this idea of happiness, like that. I've had acquaintance, an old boyfriend who would be like, "Well, I'm just lucky. I was just born with a happy gene. I'm just always happy." And you're like, I don't get, like, I guess I don't trust that. I don't believe it, because I, I think I think we need as much of the other side of stuff, the other side of happiness, for happiness to be at all. And I guess I feel like sorry, I'm not coming up with a question at all. My question, what I was wondering, what I'm curious about is why do we strive and hold it in such revere of I must be happy or I am a failure or something's wrong. Like maybe not being happy is okay. And maybe not being happy is the way to be happy. Like, or, like it's that dichotomy in there. And so I guess I'm curious if other people have thoughts on that, that need, that need that we seem to, or that our culture seems to hold. And because I wouldn't want to make any assumptions, but it feels very frequently that if you're not happy, something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so there's something to be fixed, that something's broken, and I don't necessarily believe that.
So is this something to do with I'm not on Facebook, but from what I understand of Facebook, it's like, yeah, I'm having the best life. This is what I've had for my breakfast, and this is what I have for, and it's like the reality of it is that you're a normal person with everybody's ups and downs, and so why pretend? So maybe that's the question, Julie. So what's the point in pretending to be happy?
I think we miss the mark. I think it's just that we almost run right past it.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the quest, we run right past it. And I think that goes back to what you were sharing about people who have so much not being happy, and yet the people who have less being happy. It's like we're out there running, trying to catch something rather than actually sitting down with the person right next to you, or the moment in time, or stopping to see the flamingo, whatever. But that's actually happiness in action, not
Yeah.
the new Tesla or the balcony with a pool.
Yeah. So yeah, as you were waving your hands around, so you were itching to say something. Come on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just really tapped into the frequency of the truth that's being shared here because I absolutely agree with that. And I have to take notes because, sometimes being multidimensional, I get a little ground and centered. Okay, so I agree with what you're saying. I really do because sometimes here's my problem with social media. It's performative, it's fake. And I actually wrote a poem about social media called Social Media is Slaving Mankind. Like literally everybody's sitting there on their devices scrolling and not living their lives. They're comparing themselves to a facade that is being presented. And then when you're living authentic, showing all your things, oh, you're a tweaker, you're this, you're that, you get hate sent to you based on other people's miserable existence. And I can say miserable existence because I had that too at one point till I said, what up, girl? Why are you watching them live their life? You could do the same thing too. You're talented. Everyone has their own special talent. And so we're Earth, our planet Gaia, who loves us, and the Gaia mother, we have to think. And so I say who? To the question, why pretend? Who gonna be you if you ain't gonna be you? Who gonna be you if you ain't gonna be you? No one. There's only one you. That's why joy is just one you. Okay. There's just one you. So your happiness comes from being authentic in that stuff. If that means you want to walk outside in a mama bear pajama costume and walk into school and say, hey, do you have trafficking awareness? Curriculum? Oh no, you don't. Well, my name is Yasmin Wahid and I have survivors inspired solutions. It took a lot of guts to do that, right? But
Yeah, sure.
because I realized that we cannot sit here and be puppets. I'm sorry, the Epstein files have been released. And as somebody who experienced the same thing and that knows firsthand from this eye that those things are going on and people are just going business as usual, that's terrible. And so I'm so super incredibly hopeful and happy to hear that there's a kindness summit in Florida in just a few months because I'm trying to figure out where do I go because I'm not safe in Washington State anymore. Oh yeah, I didn't get to say where I'm from. Hi, I'm Yasmin Wahid, and I live in Washington State, one of the biggest hubs for child sex trafficking and human trafficking. And I figured it out. I blew the whistle. I know I blew the whistle because the cat is up there doing all types of psychic stuff over there. And I'm no longer safe here. So I'm going to take a shameless plug and see if maybe I could get a little bit of assistance. So I put in the chat the work that I've been doing. Alan, we have to catch up. We've been doing a lot. I started a business, okay? I started a business, Survivors Inspire Solutions, because I feel like people who've experienced things know how to firsthand solve a lot of the issues, right? That's why when you said some people who experience more, they feel better because they know what it's like to go things. People who haven't missed $1 a day in a meal may not feel as compassionate and empathetic to their fellow human, right? So I put in the chat my business there. I wrote my book. It's called Survivors Inspire Solutions. Okay. It's available, but right now I'm in a literal situation where they're trying to take me out of here, like physically. And so I just put my little Cash App name, Beautiful Goddess 36, in hopes I can maybe get $5 or $10 enough to get a hotel room, because part of calling out the bad guys is seeing who works in the organizations with the bad guys. And they've done everything to show me that I was right. So we have Senate Bill 6070, which was supposed to be the creation of a dedicated alert system for missing Black people. We have House Bill 2526, which was what? You can see my testimony on all of them. I got receipts, testimony on all of them, because I decided I cannot be silent while people are suffering. That felt selfish. I've lived through and I survived so much stuff. I mean, dodging bullets in the matrix in real time to come here and be in this moment. And when I was like, I'm not going to go to the thing. I'm tired. I just found a trafficking survivor on the blade by my house, and I took a picture and all that, and guess what? It disappeared. Like the video, the call log, and everything disappeared. So I said, I can't be here. But I said, who? Alan is going to hold space for me to come in there. Because I think today's the happiness one, not the poem one. So I got to check out what's going on.
Well, yes, thanks for bringing it back to happiness, which we really need
And
to
so
do.
I feel happy right now. I'm not lying, right? I
And
feel happy because I got my next clue.
so, Finbel, I'm really curious about this question around people faking happiness, and I'd love to hear some of your thoughts around, what prompts that in the first place, how valuable or not is that, and anything else you've got.
No, actually, Yasmin hit it right on the head when she was saying, I was thinking along those same lines too. What we are putting forth as happiness, or what we are expected to be envious of or aspire towards, is a performance, more so than any other time, in history, because social media is so, so relevant. And even back in the day when the media we consumed was print and magazines, and particularly as a woman, thinking that your happiness is in your appearance, seeing what's on the glossy pages and thinking that's reality, and that you have to aspire towards that. I think that's along that same line in social media, seeing influencers go and post about, the wonderful meal they had, the places they've gone, and you get FOMO, thinking, I'm not experiencing life to the fullest. That perception gets warped. The perception of what happiness is supposed to be, and how very, very individual it is.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness, your definition of happiness not be mine, but somehow, the big placard is saying, "Hey, this is I'm serving happiness. This is what you should be looking at as well to make you, this instant noodle soup of happiness." It isn't. Unfortunately, it is maybe not so for people my age or our age, but I always worry about younger people. They consume it so much, and they think that that's supposed to be their template for what happiness is supposed to be. And so kind of making a shift, my own question would be, when am I, that I'm putting out there is when am I detrimental? When am I detrimental to my own happiness? So I'm dwelling on that today.
And that's a great question, because in this kindness work that I'm doing associated with the summit, we talk about kindness being at 3 levels. And it's kindness to self to start with. And Yaz, it was to your point earlier, if you give away all of your money and make a load of people happy or in a better place, but you're in a mess because of that, you're not going to be able to carry on helping, right? So self is first, and then kindness to others, and then kindness to the planet. And if we are able to be kind as a society in that way, then the world will be a better place. And the other thing I just wanted to mention was, Julie, you mentioned cliches earlier, so I'm going to use one now because I think you legitimized that. But it's this thing about happiness not being that thing that you pursue. It's just the way you are and the way you choose to be. It's the way rather than the thing that you've got to get to. Yeah, and thanks for mentioning Teslas. What a crazy business that is. Wow. Now, I'm conscious of everybody's time, and in these last 3 minutes, there's always a question to wrap up a values jam, which is, what are you encouraged to do differently about happiness as a result of this conversation? And Finbel, maybe we can start with you.
What I'm taking away with me was reiterated throughout the session. So, taking charge of it, taking ownership of my own happiness, and not having that be not looking externally for it. That would be
brilliant. Thank you. And Julie, what about you?
I think there's 2 things that I'm sort of walking away with is consciously seeking out opportunities to pay it forward. I find that sometimes I'm again moving too fast, and the other side of that is to slow the F down.
Thank you. And Yaz, what about you?
Sorry, that's just seems so synchronistic because the GoFundMe that I'm creating is like a paid forward one. But to me, the answer to happiness for me personally, and I think this might translate collectively, is to love ourselves, to really love ourselves, so then we can love other people, so we could be more compassionate and empathetic to other people's plights and understand that they are reflections of us, that you could end up in that same situation in the blink of an eye, and to really, really understand that the planet loves us. Everyone just needs to come together despite our differences, and that would create collective happiness, which would literally make the world a better place.
Ta-da! And mine, I've got 2 actually. One is a little bit related to Finbel's because it's about designing the circumstances for happiness to come forward. And I'll just tell you a brief story. My stepdad went to Norway with my mum when she was alive, and they went to see the Northern Lights, and they didn't see the Northern Lights. And they promised themselves that they would go back to be able to see the Northern Lights, but then she spoilt it all by dying. And so a couple of years ago, I told him that I'd take him for the weekend to see if we could work it out. And we went and had the most amazing Northern Light show. The tour guide said he had never seen anything like that all season this year. It lasted for about 3.5 hours. So that's the first bit of it, is putting things in place to encourage happiness, and it was a happy time. And then the second bit, which is a carryover, gratitude for when good, because I think sometimes we take stuff like that for granted. And I'm going to remember that occasion for sure. But it's coming up. He's going to be 80 this year. So what we're now doing is putting together a book of well wishes from people that he's known through his life, and there will be some photographs from that trip, so he can really relive it and remember it and have gratitude for it. So create the occasion, and then be thankful for it is mine. And this is not how I expected our conversation to turn out today, but it's been just so brilliant. So thank you all.
I
And
have
yeah,
a question.
yeah, go.
Can you get a copy of the recording since I missed the first half of it because I was out doing something kind for someone else?
Yeah,
And
it'll be published, and now I like I said in my email, I tried to track you down, couldn't find you, and so now
they're trying to reach me, man. I'm telling you.
yeah, there you go. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Blessings, everybody.
Bye.
Woo.
So how are you?
I've been travel. I'm doing all right, but I'm worried about humanity and the things that is going on. And so I'm so glad. I don't even know how I came across the kindness, values, anything. I don't know, because they got my phone tapped. Okay. They're actively tracking me and stalking me, so much so that they've done so many things in the last week alone to have me spend pretty much all my money. And I have money. I haven't been paid from any of my clients since January. Yeah.
Wow.
It's that intentional. So now I'm asking for the community aid to help maybe cash app a couple of dollars so I can get some food, at least have a car to sleep in. So I want to I want to start off with the good things, the positive things. I was able to find the email to end up here. That's really miraculous. I don't even know how that happens, but I signed up and I got a reminder and I was like, hey, I'm in a couple hours. Oh, speaking of which, what time is it over there?
6 in the evening.
6. And you're in London, right?
Yeah.
Are these your monies? Are these your monies?
No. That's
No.
that's a euro, so that's in the rest of Europe.
Okay. Yeah, because I think I have to get out the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know why? Because my cousin who's in Germany, who totally believes in my gift, totally supports me, and is like the only one in my family who believes in me. She's a older woman, and she has a bank account in Florida. Actually, she hasn't been in the States in a long time, but she has a bank account in Florida. Said that she needed to get the money out the account, and so she was sending a check to me to have for my kiddo. But instead, she just sent me this euros and a blank paper, like nothing else. And I was like, "Is this a sign that I need to get out of the country?" I don't think so, because this isn't a check, and these definitely aren't American dollars.
No, and a euro is virtually 1 to 1 for a dollar.
So this would be $100.
Yeah, roughly.
So maybe I'd have enough money if I change these in here to get money to get a room and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's what I do with it. I didn't know if I was trying to get to international flight or whatever. All I know is I spoke up for what's right because I lived through it. And so that's probably why you had a hard time tracking me down. They've been erasing my emails, phone calls, everything. I'm not as scared of them because I know me and mines are protected, right? So I have a place to live that I had to move here because someone was stalking me and my daughter. Now they know where I'm at again, so I'm not safe here. That was confirmed by some random stranger spamming you on the internet. No, on my Instagram, he came on there and he said, you are needing to be silenced by, we have Israeli operatives working to silence you. And then he says, we're going to traffic you under the Obama administration. Everyone's like, oh, it's just some guy just randomly. I'm like, you guys don't understand the connection.
Yeah.
So once again, Black women aren't supported, believed, and
Yeah.
protected. So
How's your spoken word work going? Because that started to take off, right?
Yeah, it started to take off until the organization that was doing the work decided to close down the open mics.
Oh,
So
right.
I went in over a year and a half now, which
Okay.
was really sad because that was my community. I went twice a month.
Right.
But I did start a business, Survivors Inspire Solutions. I did get part written in as part of the grant from the city of Seattle, the first Black woman-led collaborative, where it was different organizations. It's a commercially sexually exploitated grant to try to help survivors out. And my portion of it was to do trainings, education. I have a feminine health and wellness course that I started that I've been teaching, as well as writing workshops and all these other things. But when I told them on 2/19/2026 that after doing the press conference, and I put the link in there with Senator Dingra around Senate Bill 6070, I ended up noticing that no, I'm not thinking this is really happening. I really am still being human trafficked. How did you know? My ancestor Harriet Tubman said, "Hi, Trump. We know you're trafficking her." Human trafficking, right? But also Tyler Henry, he's a medium. He talks to spirits. He's the young guy that draws in circles. Teresa Caputo, right? She used telepathic communication to talk to God to be able to channel souls in heaven. So it's okay when they do it, but when the melanated woman does it, I get labeled bipolar and all that. The only difference is that's not going to fly. I've been off the medications for quite some time. On 3/16/2026, I celebrated 4 years off of drugs. So every little thing that they throwing at me, instead of being like, oh, fuck that, I just like, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and forgive them when the time is right. I don't want to treat people how they treat me. And that's what actually changes the world. We don't want revenge. We want healing, right? We can't eye for an eye, hurt people into healing the planet. That's not going to work. So thank you
Right.
for asking. No one's asked me anything out of this because on that day, after my former mental health therapist lied and said that, and this is a lie, she said that I told her that day that I was having auditory hallucinations that were giving me suicidal ideations, and that I decided to tell her I no longer want to be in this world. After I said that, someone is still stalking me and my kid. There's something going on energetically when we shifted to the year of the fire horse, right? I said, something's not right. They're following me. They're trafficking me. They're doing all this stuff because I spoke up publicly. I have heightened visibility, like in the state that I'm at. And then she said she wasn't going to do anything. She said, they're going to put you in jail or in the hospital. I asked her who they was. She wouldn't answer me. The next day, after, mind you, I live in a secure location. Right after I stayed up all night battling the thoughts and the demons, I said, oh, good, no one's coming for me. I turned and I pull a card. Right when I turn over, boom, 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 3 knocks on the door. Crisis responders, we can come in and detain you. Why would you need to detain me? Because she lied. But luckily, this was the funny part. I have a new health therapist who specializes in sexual trauma. So we've been going through it. And I have a nurse practitioner who I've been off of medications long enough that now she says, I've been doing fine. I'm stable. I don't have to even schedule with her anymore. That's how well I'm doing. No one bothered to ask me about any of that. So the crisis responders come, right? They were going to lock me up. I said, well, she's not even my therapist. She lives in Houston. I don't even know how she would know what's going on with me because they're spying on me. But the person that was there at the door, the crisis responder, was the godmom of my mental health therapist now. So I didn't get locked up, but they did everything they wanted them to do. They put all my contracts on pause, meaning they removed all my income. They then spread rumors and broke HIPAA violations and told everyone that I was having a mental health crisis and all these other lies that they tell. Whatever. I've already moved forward to a higher level of existence. And I know this because I want to be at this kindness summit. So I want to ask, how may I volunteer to help with the kindness summit?
Well, that's a really good question.
Before you answer that, can I say one thing?
Mm,
Because I really see your soul. And I really, really appreciate the work you've been doing for a long time, bringing people together, showing people that it doesn't matter if you're black or white, male, female, dog, cat, or whatever, that in order for us to heal ourselves, heal our planet, and keep this world getting better, we need kind souls. Kind souls. And you, sir, are a very kind soul. You know how I know that? Because I am who I say I am, and I could read into somebody's souls. And nobody's perfect, but you have consistently showed up and done these things very selflessly to put these projects together, to bring people together for kindness and values because we've been off track, right? And so when I say that with the utmost gratitude and appreciation for seeing people in the world like you that give me hope that we will make it through this thing, that we will shift the energy, and that we will all come together as one big happy family.
Yeah, and I think there is. So, give me 2 minutes to just describe that I've explained a little bit about the summit, but actually that's not the big thing. The big thing is a global kindness initiative, which is about creating a system of kindness. And the reason for this is that it's my view that people who, either individually or even in organizations, when they do kind work, they're treated with condescension. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like a pat on the head, you've done a really good job, carry on. And there's a reliance on individuals' goodwill for kindness to happen. And it shouldn't be like that. Kindness is too important. It should be embedded in the fabric of society in all aspects of how we live. So, this kindness initiative is about creating a conducive environment for all of the people that operate in the kindness space. And there are like thousands, probably millions of them, but they're all working in isolation. So this is about getting them to connect with each other, collaborate with each other, and create more positive impact by being able to do that. That's the first thing. Then I started to get interested in the economics around kindness. So I call that kindnomics.
You're
And
so cool.
is it's how do you put a money evaluation around kindness? So I started to think about, well, volunteering and philanthropy, they're very easy, right? To understand that there's an economic value to those two things. And then our care system is really founded on kindness as well. And then I started to think about the opposite side of the coin. So this is the costs borne by society when there is no kindness. So this is human trafficking. This is bullying in schools. It's domestic abuse. It's the justice system. The justice system half of it wouldn't be needed if everybody was kind, right?
That is so true.
So with AI, I started to get it to use verified sources to start to put a money number on kindness as if we were looking at it as an industry sector. And then I used the UK as a model and then extrapolated it to the world. And what it said was, conservatively, kindness, if it was viewed as an industry sector, is worth $2 to $3 trillion.
Brilliant.
Yeah, trillion.
Oh, 2 to 3 trillion.
So next step is to get some really senior economists to look at the paper that I've started to work up. Because imagine if people like that could start to say to the world, kindness is the thing that we need to do. It's too valuable to ignore. And then where could we go? So that's the kind of bigger picture. Now, smaller picture, the event. I'm wondering whether you would be able to write a poem about kindness, and we would then invite you to share your poem at the event, and then you wouldn't have to buy a ticket. But we wouldn't be able to pay for you to get there or anything like that. That's the only thing.
Okay. Yeah, that was my next question. Like, what is the registration stuff? Like, how much are you guys?
There's a link on that flyer that I've put in the chat.
Okay, let me pull up the flyer again because I was just so excited that it's great.
But you would need to sort out getting there and being able to stay somewhere. So we're not doing any of that. But what we would be able to do is not charge you the ticket price, which is a couple of $100 a day or something like that.
That would work.
Okay.
That would
Well,
work.
let's. So I don't feel that I can commit here and now, but in principle, I think that could work. Let me speak to my guys. There's a poem. I don't know whether you've come across it. I can't remember the lady's name. I think it's Naomi, and then it's a double-barreled name. She wrote a poem called Kindness. Are you aware of this?
No, I'm not, but that's a very familiar name.
So her poem
So,
is about when she's American, and she and her new husband went on a drive honeymoon to South America. And on their first day, they got robbed. And all she had left, apart from the clothes that she was wearing, was, I think it was a pencil and a notebook. And she tells a story about how she just sat down and this poem flowed through her. And it's about, to understand kindness, you have to understand a total absence of kindness in the first place. But because of the nature of the event, we want to build poetry and music into it. Her poem is going to be on video, but perhaps we can find a way to fit in a poem from you about kindness as well. So let me talk to my guys, and then I'll come back and let you know one way or the other.
Okay. And so that would work. That would work because I would be able to I can't stay here, right?
Okay.
And now that I don't have connections here, that like they put a cease and desist on me. The same organization that helped me get out of prostitution put a cease and desist on me, suspended my services for 6 months. Not just me, but all the orgs that we were working with together. So I can't like legally go over to get help. I don't care about the cease and desist. I said, if you want to take it to court with a lie, you're gonna fall for the truth. I mean, that's just what it is. But the more heightened thing is I realized that after getting the police called on me 3 times on the 22nd, and the last time the officer arrested me twice, didn't read me no rights, and then took me to the thing to get a blood test, get a court order for my blood. Yeah, imagine that. To prove that I didn't have any narcotics in my system, because every little lie, their little desperate attempt. And so I know that I'm going on my trail now. And so I'm just trying to figure out what places I need to land. And since I'm going to be on that coast during that time, I have to come out there. Oh, why? Because that day that I was telling you about 219, the day before, my little cousin in Georgia was kidnapped. She went missing by a trafficker. But because I have connections to the FBI and the Black and Missing Foundation, the officers who weren't doing anything, I made phone calls and they got her back. And so they have a thing actually on my birthday on May 30th, a run for whatever. And I was like, I'm going to go on vacation. No, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to go there. I'm going to support their event because they literally helped bring my cousin home alive. So I'll already be on the East Coast by then. I'm going to be with my man or something. I don't know, but it'll work. So if they approve it, say that I would be willing to do the energy exchange of, if you could cover the ticket to get in, I would be able to pay for my flight and hotel down there, because then I'd be able to have the opportunity to sell books, because I have the paperback book now.
Yeah. What's the book called?
Survivor Solstice. Exactly. Let me put the link. It's on my website. So let me just go up here. It's like the first thing. But I did a poem.
So let me share with you the way there is going to be a kindness book corner. And so we're inviting authors that have written any books connected with kindness. The way that it works is the author donates a minimum of 5 gift copies of the book, and then we're going to give those away locally to schools and local businesses and stuff. The university which is hosting the event, it cannot have cash transactions, but what we're doing is selling online. So there'll be an area where people will be able to order all of the books that are on display and being given away by going on a QR code or whatever, and then just ordering it online. So that's the way it's going to work. And then people, we're thinking it's probably going to be about 150 people, mostly local, but some international people as well. The speaker program has people from India, UK. I was speaking to some people the other day from Iceland who said that they're coming. Another speaker is from Canada. So it is a global event, and we've got representatives from some of the largest kindness organizations in the world. So the president of the World Kindness Movement, the founder of Kindness Week Worldwide, the founder of the Kinder Foundation. So these people are on the leadership group of about 16 people, and UNESCO are represented on that as well.
Okay, that sounds like this is really in divine alignment of the assignment of bringing global kindness initiative to fruition. You know how I know that? Because all the things that you said are in alignment with things that I wrote down, except for I didn't know what organizations, what the places, and even the gifting 5 copies. I've been gifting copies, and then someone when I was at the summit and I did a poem and everybody wanted a book, she bought 3 copies and I gifted those to people. So the energy exchange, right? And then can't have cash transactions. I have a whole placard with my business name on it, with my PayPal, my Venmo, and
Good.
that and website. So it's already electronic. Like I've really been doing work, and I realized like I had to do my work so I could connect with like-minded souls so we could
Yep.
do the work. So I would like to ask, I'll do more research about the thing. I want to know about these organizations to see how my story of it, despite all the horrible things I've been through, choosing to be kind to humanity because I don't want anyone to go through the insanity of living in the vanity of a facade of a world that does not uplift and enact kindness, brings us to a lower level of existence where we'll never be free. And I don't want anyone to be enslaved. So my question, I do have a question. My question is, am I able to get connections to these people, or do I reach out separately? Like you named the Kindness Week Worldwide, and this is all in sync because I have my Kindness Time magazine downstairs that's going
Okay.
on my vision board. So I know it's in sync. So my
Okay.
question is, do I need to reach out to them separately or do I get introductions?
Yeah. So we'll need to work out the timing of that. So obviously the best way for you to build those relationships is in person at the event in May, right?
Okay.
That's the best way. Um, and I think it would feel a bit strange to them if I do this with you when I'm not doing it with anybody else, right? So,
Okay.
but then I'm thinking about the way that we could frame your poem is that because I'm a bit cautious about you focusing too much on your story because
Mm.
people turn off, if they think it's just about you. But I think there's a way around that because you could introduce your poem because it's on the basis of somebody who has been in a desperate situation, in spite of that, choosing kindness and coming out the other end. So then that gives you a reason to explain that this is about you, but not about you. The about you is the context, and it's about kindness.
Can I tell you why that's exactly how I've already been writing the poem?
Okay,
Because everyone says, I'll kill him with kindness. I'll kill him with kindness. I said, no, I'll heal them with kindness.
there you go. And
Okay.
and the other thing that I'm going to talk to them about, because one of the things I love about the way you go about your life and your poetry is the edginess, and I'm just going to sound them out on this because I don't want them to have a shock, but in a way, I'd love us to agree that you can shock. Uh,
Okay.
so you'll need to leave that with me.
Okay. So I do have permission to tell the truth, but in a way that is received so that it'll wake them up a little bit.
Yeah, I want people to, it's like we're too kind of conservative about the way we communicate, and the style of your communication. I think the way that you can, I don't mean get away with it, but I do, is because it's in poetic form, and so there's license to use some language that you would not probably be accepted for if it was just a conversation, right?
Yes, totally. And I'm sorry. Me and my Angelo ancestors, Toni Morrison, we's gonna come up with the best poem that is going to like go global with the kindness of. I'm not gonna say it right now. I don't want to give too much away, but I agree because there's a way that you could say things, difficult conversations in a very eloquent and poetic way that people are like, wow, I never thought about it that way. So if I heal them with kindness instead of killing with kindness, I then heal myself. And then I love myself enough to be authentic and I could send it and we get paid forward kindness because kindness is removing the blindness. Write that down.
That's
Kindness is removing the blindness, right?
yeah, for sure.
I think that's where I start with the poem.
Okay.
The blindness to all the atrocities that are going on in the world because
It is blindness.
consciousness is here, you know? I know because I wasn't about to come to this. And my higher self was like, no, you get back in that house right now. You're running late, but you get back in that place right now and go to that meeting because you need to connect with Alan. Why Alan? Because Alan Parrish played what? You seen Jumanji? Robin Williams. Because I stopped someone for committing suicide earlier today. I didn't know how I did, but that's the kindness of a stranger, of giving someone, you asked for 2 minutes. I was quiet for them whole 2 minutes and I wrote down and I actively listened. I actively listened to what you said. So when I said, can you just get 5 minutes? She said, well, 5 minutes is a lot. I said, well, don't worry about it. Boom. I knew I had to go outside and save somebody's life, to which I did. So just the act of kindness, which is not a concept, it's an actual construct of how we construct and build a new paradigm, shift into a higher timeline. This is being recorded, right?
Not now, no. It was
No?
no, no.
Okay. Okay. So now I got to remember that.
Yeah.
A paradigm.
And actually, you're talking about. Let me just put this light on. You're talking about suicide. I've just recently come across a guy here in the UK who. Let me just look it up because I might be able to read his introduction to you, which I think you'll find powerful. Let me just Ben West. Here we go. All right, so this is his introduction on his website, right? Hi, I'm Ben. Today, I'm one of the most engaged and influential mental health campaigners in the world. But the reason for my work and my inspiration every day is my wonderful little brother, Sam. In January 2018, Sam very unexpectedly took his own life and died at the age of only 15 years old. Through complete shock and devastation, I realized that I wanted to stop what happened to Sam from happening to anyone else ever again. 8 years on. Now, 8 years is a long time, right?
Yeah.
8 years on, my work has now reached over 70 million people in 160 countries, changed national government policy, and directly supported tens of thousands of people considering suicide. And he's set up this program. It's called Reasons to Stay. And it's a website. And what people do is send in a letter to be read by somebody who's thinking about committing suicide. And
Oh my gosh, yes.
it says here, in the first month after launch, over 1 million letters had been delivered, with 81% of visitors reporting feeling better after reading one.
Hmm.
Good work.
Okay, I need his website so I can reach out because when I tell people I have that connection to spirit and that I read energy and stuff. So over the last couple of days, I've been on what people want to judge on social media as a psychosis, but it's not psychosis, it's psychic awareness of what's going on in the planet. And collectively, people are not feeling well. So mental health matters, right? But the fact that she lied and said that I was suicidal when I'm not was what made things go accelerate me into the dark place. And instead of getting mad, I said, let me go ahead and evolve and grow. 15 is spiritual growth, but Sam is also my friend who passed away. And Sam is also, have you seen the movie Ghost with
No.
Patrick Swayze? Okay, well, Patrick Swayze, you gave me a movie to watch, I gave you a movie to watch. It's called Ghost with Patrick Swayze, where he's unalived, comes back and has a black medium, Whoopi Goldberg, helping keep his girlfriend safe. And his name is
Okay.
Sam. So
Okay.
that's the third Sam connection, the Sam, the 15-year-old. But I also said earlier today in my post when Aubrey Paige Hawk came through was a 13-year-old girl who unalived herself because she was being bullied. So we need to stop the bullying. We need to stop all of this stuff for the future of humanity.
Yeah. So if you Google Ben West reasons to stay, you will come up.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
you're talking about mediums and stuff. So the lady that I was working with last week in Florida, she told me a story about how. Now let's see, I'm not going to be able to remember all of this. It was something to do with a teenager who died of a brain hemorrhage or something wrong with his head, and she was a reporter at the time, and she had to go. I think it must have been his home village in Africa that she was due to go on this trip. And I don't know why she went to see a psychic. And she said, this is what she said. She said, I went in and the lady just said, "Oh, my head's hurting. My head's hurt." This is before they've even introduced themselves. My head is hurting. Um, you know somebody with something wrong with their head. And then she said, I feel that you're going to be going on a long journey soon. And Francesca was like, "Oh my God, what is happening here?"
We
And
freak
then,
people
and then the
sometimes.
psychic said, "He's coming with you." And so Francesca's like, "Oh, what's this mean?" And then she was like, "Okay." And she said, "I found myself talking to this kid that had died." Um, and then she said, when she got on the airplane, there was an empty seat next to her.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just it's like,
Yeah. And so that's a real thing. And I understand that. And people have gifts, right? All people are psychic. Just people don't really know how to tap into them, but not all people are mediums, right? And so one of the things that Source did was make mediums to let people know that there's life on the other side, that their life is worth living, to not commit suicide and everything. So part of my poem is to say how a little bit of kindness when I was homeless living in my car was to stop interventions, including John, who didn't have any food. I let him come to my room and take a shower. And in that shower, Janae Aiko's 316 started playing. I had a vision of him having a heroin overdose. And I told him, look, you need not do heroin anymore because the next time you do it, you're going to die. Right. But how she said she felt the head thing. Remember before we even started talking about that, I was like, I felt it in my head too, because as mediums, we are literally spiritually connected to the other side. Oh, I just got chills and some more things. So I have channeled my gift and I worked on my gift so much and I believe in myself because I connect with like-minded souls on the other side who are helping usher humanity into a more loving and compassionate place.
all right,
And so
here's another one for you then. A lady the lady I mentioned in on the call in Utah, her mum died at the end of last year, and it was she was not very well for a period of time, and so they had the chance to say everything they wanted to each other in the family and all that sort of stuff, which was good. But what Jenny, the daughter is Jenny, and what Jenny said about her mum that surprised her was two things. One, she said that her mother has always been inclusive, never been racist whatsoever, but had never referenced color specifically, never in her life. And yet, in the last couple of weeks of her life, she just started saying, Jenny, you've got to tell everybody that it doesn't matter what color we are. And Jenny said that's the first time I had ever heard her say it like that, even though she was a good person. That was the first one. And then the second thing she said was, Jenny, when I'm gone, I need to ask you to tell the children to save all their cents and dimes, and then on their birthday, be kind to somebody with that money.
Mm. All their cents and dimes. So is that why I threw out? That's why I got a whole pile full of change outside downstairs. Cents and dimes. Hold on, dimes. Divine intervention, my evolutionary spirit. The dimes. And they call what a beautiful black woman. She a dime. She a 10. I think we're on 10 yet. How do you know? Today's date is 3/25. 5 and 2 is 10. Plus 3 is 13, which is the divine feminine rising. And 31 is also unconditional trust in the universal mother. 3 and 1 is 4. 4, we get to divine perfection. 3, 1 is 1 is 2. 2 is rest, real escape from the sex trade, but also sacred union.
Yes.
We gotta go?
No, look.
What?
What am I pointing at?
You're pointing to 31. I'm gonna live. I'm gonna be fine. 31 is the end of every month, right? There's no 32nd day of the month. And guess what day 31 is for me?
Go on.
The day my petition is going to Backpage. Well, we're going to try to get it in early, but the Department of Justice has decided to sue Backpage. And so they got $270-something million that they're giving to survivors who could prove that they were trafficked on Backpage. And I've got, as they said so far, one of the strongest cases. And they even changed it because before they were like, oh, yeah, the lost wages part, just whatever potential jobs you could prove. And so I was like, well, that's not fair. So you mean to tell me I had to do all of that slavery and give my money to someone who controlled it, and then I can't even charge for that back? So then they changed it so that now for every person, every incident that you could prove, I forgot what the number is. My lawyer wrote it down, but guess where my lawyer's in Utah, okay? And guess what else? Here's how we put it together. My lawyer is in Utah, right? Salt Lake City. I watched the Salt Lake City Housewives. The mother, Mary is also 31, Mary Magdalene, on the unconditional trust, on the thing, Mary Magdalene, not the song right now. Put it together. 31, she just lost her son, Robert Jr., Robert Cosby. And didn't Cosby just get hit with a millions of dollars lawsuit? Okay, the point is there's strength in numbers, there's codes in numbers, and 3 and 1, hold on, is CA, consciousness aligned. Or not that one, caring activated. I like that one. I like caring activated because we know that they've been children, right? And we ain't doing that because the divine mother returns and she comes and says, we're not doing this. Y'all, we going them all out of there. And if you can't get on the frequency of kindness, and do you know, I'm going to tell you this is not a threat. I'm not a danger to myself or others, but I literally have the power to sense when souls come in and when souls come out. Who would have that power? Maybe the GODDESS that was always GODDESS. They just put that SS on fire. And so my point is, President Trump, the one who's destroying the planet, for lack of a better word, is not a kind individual. And on several occasions, pulling cards, I could have just knocked him out of there. But I want him, as the children telepathically communicate, they said that he's trafficking children, and that I want him, the commander, to TC the confession. I don't want him unalived. I want him to confess and then bless with the money that he has. That's what the divine mother is writing into the story. Doesn't that seem better than making someone lose a life?
For sure. Now, something else for your kindness poem. The initiative is called the K20, and it has a lowercase k. And the reason why is because we say that kindness can be small and quiet, yet still powerful. And the rest of the name, you can see it on the flyer. It's the K20 Kindness Without Borders Summit.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to do a lot of research in there. This is how I love to weave poems together, right? I'm in my super creative era because I'm healing my sexual trauma. I'm unblocking my sacral chakra and I'm like super creative juices right now. So when I cannot make it, I never want to make it about me. My story is important to foster empathy, but even just saying small K is quiet, right? Each organization has a certain slogan that they use. I'm going to weave those into the poems.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make
Say
sense.
like, yeah, small or quiet or large like a giant. It doesn't matter as long as you're kind to your fellow man. We can ascend.
You know, and in this world, you know, we're taught that you have to be big and loud, and it's just not true.
No.
Now, I do have to go now.
Me
So
too.
I'm so glad that we've reconnected. It's great.
Me
I'm
too.
glad that you joined.
All righty. And you'll send the link for the video or for the recording? I
Yeah,
want to see what you talked about before I
I'll
came.
send the link for the recording, and also I'll be in touch again about the poem thing that we've just talked about.
Okay, and I see. What time is it over there? Time check?
It's 20 to 7 in the evening here. So
So
for
it's future 20 to
your
7.
Eastern
So
time, are you?
6. No, I'm on Pacific Standard Time.
All right, okay.
President sex trafficking. PST.
All right, good to see you. You take care.
You too. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.